Hi, welcome back to Coffee with Candee. I'm Candee, and this is where we talk about life in general over a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee. I got the owl today. The last two ones, I had my black W. So today, I've got my little owl, because actually it's at nighttime that I'm filming this. Kind of tired. That's okay. We'll get through this. Hopefully your week was okay. Mine was pretty good. If you had a good week, comment. If you had a bad week, comment. Just let me know. How was your week? I had a good week. I had finished a project that I had been working on, and also got some good news. My good news about my bone marrow transplant. My insurance is authorizing payment for it, so that's a good thing. One step further in this process of getting the bone marrow transplant, doing the remission thing, and hopefully being in remission for as long as possible. As I told you last week, I have a blood cancer called multiple myeloma, and I kind of let you know what that all entailed. You can go back and find out all about it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about it, let me know. Comment. So I wanted to talk this week about my project, and it is crochet. I love yarn. I really love yarn. And I say that meaning that I love yarn. I like having the different textures, the different colorways, and the different sizes, like yarn, having the different textures and the different softness or roughness. Like I want to experience different textures. I'm a very tactile, touchy person, so I appreciate the different yarns, and I also use it as a coping mechanism for many different things, and it helps to keep my mind fresh, keep it going with different ideas, helps me to be creative, helps me to feel productive, and one of the things that I can do by being productive is create these blankets, and I feel that I help people create blankets, scarves. That's pretty much my washcloths, double-sided hot pads, just those are pretty much my whole repertoire of things that I can do. I just now have been stepping out of my comfort zone into different patterns and different stitches. Just here recently with the different blankets that I've been making, because I've made a lot of them, and I just give them all away. Not all of them. Obviously you'll see here in a minute. I don't give them all away, but I give a lot of them away. When I first started, I had made a scarf, but it was not good. Somebody had taught me how to chain, but then I was never taught how to crochet or anything. I just knew how to chain. So I made a chain of yarn, and then I proceeded to slip stitch back and forth, and thinking that I was crocheting and doing something. And mind you, this was about 10 years ago when I started. So I did that, and I'm like, I'm not getting very far. How are these people doing this and making blankets and stuff really quickly, and my stuff doesn't look like theirs? What am I doing wrong? And then I went on YouTube and started looking up videos and stuff and actually figuring out how to do it. And I came across a couple of different videos and learned how to do it, and now it helps so much. I'm so thankful that I was able to get into it. I made this blanket back here. That's why this is back here. Whenever my second son was a baby, I was making a whole bunch of stuff then. Whenever I was pregnant with my second son, I made this blanket that it was like a thing of blue in the middle, and then it had red and white stripes that went out from it on each side. It was like 4 or 5 red and white stripes on each side, and that was during, obviously during June, July. I don't know. It really helped coping mechanisms with my emotions then and stuff like that. Before I had gotten pregnant, I smoked, and once I found out I was pregnant, I stopped smoking immediately, and I got really frustrated, angry, emotional already, and to begin with, on top of not having that crutch that I went to or that coping mechanism that I went to. So the crochet, like, took the place of that. And so instead of smoking, crocheted. Instead of drinking, I crochet. Instead of cussing, I crochet. Instead of hitting, I crochet. Instead of yelling, I crochet. That's just what I do is my coping mechanisms when I start getting stressed out, when I start getting emotional, when I can feel myself start to lose it. I try to garner control by taking my hook, a little hook right here, and placing the yarn where I want it to go, placing the hook where I want it to go, like to make stitches and gain control of something when I feel like things are out of control. Crochet is one hook, so if you ever see somebody with one hook working, and it looks like knitting, and it's just one hook, it's crocheting. Knitting is two needles doing their thing. And a lot of people ask me if I was knitting. No, I'm crocheting, and it's way different, and that's okay. One of the first things that I made, also, getting a different stitch because I just thought it was cool, and I did it wrong, of course. I used a hook that was smaller than what the label on the yarn said I should use with this yarn. I just liked how pretty it was. Again, this is the very beginning of me starting to crochet. I liked how pretty the yarn was. I got this hook. I got the wrong size. I did it anyway, and I still like it. I still use it. But it's a scarf that's in this Afghan, Tunisian, they call it Tunisian crochet. But I love the colors. That's why I gravitated towards it. But it's got this really cool little pattern on one side, and on the other side it's got this other pattern and texture. It's just really cool. Well, I made a scarf out of that, so this is like a scarf, whatever. But at the ends, because it's so tight, it just rolls up at the end. But I used a smaller hook, which makes these super tight and stiff, and should have used a bigger hook, but I still use it. I don't care. I'm still proud of it. And then I gotten this huge kick of making big granny squares, so I made this is a regular granny square. And because it was so open and loose, I didn't like that, so I took out a stitch in between, because there's usually a stitch between, and then I took out on the ends, instead of doing 3 stitches, I did 2 stitches. I just was closing up the gap a little more. So my oldest son, 10 years ago, he wanted camouflage, so I got camouflage yarn, and I made a big granny square. That's what I gravitated towards. I just made big granny squares as Afghan blankets, like little blankets that you cuddle up on the couch with. And that's all this is. And then instead of making it one solid, the same yarn color, I went and did different colors. So I just did, and it's just around and around, just big granny square for those of you who are familiar with it. And those who are not, it's just a big square. And I'll show you this. It's just a bigger version of this. So it's a big square that goes around and around. And then on this one, I just did a bunch of different ones and just put it together with this same color yarn to kind of pull it together, and then sewed them together, kind of. So anyways, there's that. Those are the granny squares. I made, like I said, I made a whole bunch of big granny squares. I didn't like putting together the little granny squares, but I did a whole bunch of big granny squares and just gave them away. I know I gave my nephew one, I gave my niece one, I gave my stepdaughter one, I gave all of my boys have had one, and I used to give them out at church like crazy. I made a bunch of hats, I've given those away. I've made scarves, a bunch of hats, I've made probably 4 hats for my husband, each of them he's lost, a couple of hats for my oldest son, at least 5 hats for each of my younger sons, and then at least like 50 hats, and gave those all away. Then I came upon a different stitch here recently, and I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. I really did. I wanted to try different patterns and different stitches and whatnot. And so I decided to go with, you're probably not going to see it too well, but there's a double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, all in one stitch. I did that repeated, and then single crochet, and then double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, all in the one stitch, all the way across, in like 3 patterns of 3. And that's what I would do, was 3 double crochets in one stitch, and then skip 2 stitches, and then 3 double crochets in one stitch, and skip 2 stitches, all the way across. I did that with a blanket that I gave my niece, in like this all white, except for little speckles of multicolors, and that was surrounded by one border of single crochet teal. It was really cool. It was big. It's almost like twin size. My niece really likes it. And then this one I made for my sister-in-law, and it's this black with little speckles of, red with little speckles of black, and then flanked by these black panels. And it's really soft yarn. Then I did one that was blanket stitch and gave that one away. That one was for my sister-in-law. The one that I made, the blanket stitch, is really thick, really squishy, feels really comfortable and heavy and warm. So it's almost like a weighted blanket, and that's kind of what I used it on my legs for. It's like a weighted blanket. I gave that away. And so otherwise I would show you. The new one I'm working on is this one. It is called the bean stitch, and because they say that it looks kind of like a bean, it goes back and forth like these little things. They're puff stitches that kind of goes sideways, slants, and kind of fits in between with each other like a weave pattern. I don't know if you can see that, but anyways, that one's I'm working on for my son, my youngest son. His favorite color is orange. So I'm working on that one. And then the one that I'm the most proud of recently, I stepped out of my comfort zone really big time with this one. My mom wanted a blanket, and she picked out the colors. So she wanted burgundy and this forest green or hunter green. I added a little bit of light gray to it to kind of lighten it up, but that's the 2 colors she wanted. She said she didn't care what the pattern was, but she wanted those colors, and she got the colors, gave them to me, and I worked on it. I stepped out of my comfort zone because I don't like to count higher than 3, and with this one I had to count to 11, a lot. There was a couple of rows that I stopped counting, and I figured it would be fine, and then I started counting again to make sure I was on the right track. And I found that I had skipped a stitch, or I placed the stitch in the wrong place, or whatever. Something happened that I was off. So I had to literally count everything. It works, and I'm proud of it, but it's this chevron pattern. Really proud of it. What I did was, I did this chevron pattern with the bigger stripes of the color that she had picked, and then a small stripe of the white because it really stands out. And then I put that flanked by the bigger stripes of the same color. So then worked on that. And then down here. The end of it, I just have this with each side has this color. One of them is this color, this burgundy color. And it's showing up really nice on this camera. And then this for me, on my screen anyway. I don't know how it's looking for your screen, but for my screen, it's looking really nice. And then the other side, it's this green, and the end of that is this green. So, on one side, it's the green, the other side's burgundy, burgundy, green. So, that's how it worked out. It's really nice, really warm, really thick, but it's not like cardboard. It's not like a doormat where it's like super hard. It's squishy and it feels nice, and I know it's durable, and it has some stretch to it. I just really like it. And it's also kind of a heavier blanket that you would cuddle up with on a really cold day if you're sitting next to the window on a chair, on a couch, or wherever, and you're sitting next to the window and it's cold. It's nice to have this kind of blanket there. That's what I'm working on, or that's what I just finished. I'm pretty proud of it myself. I'm working on, like I said, that orange and light gray, but I'm also working on a blanket for my bonus mom, and she has requested or given me yarn that's all girly colors. I have 4 boys. There is not any pastel anything up in this house, okay? So she gave me a bag of pastel pink, pastel purple, pastel yellow, cream, I don't know, this multicolor of all pastel colors. It's really cute, but it's girly cute, and there's no girly stuff in this house, so it's really out of place. I'm looking forward to getting that done and seeing how she likes that, but I'm going to work on that later, here in a little while, just not right now. I think that getting the youngest son's done, then hers done, and taking a break, because it's a lot. I've tried knitting, I really have. I'm not good at it, but then again, I know practice makes perfect. I really do kind of want to sit down and try to get better at knitting. I get the mechanics of it. I understand the mechanics of it. It's the tension that I don't have. I don't have the tension very good. So, I'll figure that out eventually. A friend of mine, she knits, and it's just one of those things that she just sits back and knits, and comforting, keeps her hands busy while she's sitting and listening or watching TV or sitting down. She's like me. She can't just like sit. She's got to be doing something at all times. So that's what's cool with me. I want to hear about your week. Let me know how your week is going and what you got going on. Comment, like the video, subscribe for our little chat so we can catch up next week. And I don't know what we're going to chat about next week. It'll be a surprise. Right. But let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll see you next week. Bye.